This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop about research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared from our students, faculty, and other members of our USC community.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back into another episode of Viterbi Voices. My name is Paul Ledesma, one of your co-hosts here. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
And hi, everyone. My name is Emily Powis, and I'm a senior studying biomedical engineering.
And joining us today is another one of our fantastic Viterbi students. I believe your first time on the podcast. Is that right, Maya?
This is, yeah.
Wow. Welcome to the podcast. Introduce yourself, everybody. Let everybody know who you are, where you're from, all the necessary details to get to know you.
Hi, everyone. I'm a Viterbi student ambassador. My name is Maya Neuenschwander. I'm a sophomore studying industrial systems and engineering, and I'm originally from Hudson, Wisconsin.
All right. Very cool, Maya. And so today you bring us a very unique conversation for the podcast. Tell everybody what this episode is all about.
Yeah, so this episode, I wanted to do something that I'm interested in, which would revolve around startups and side businesses within Viterbi. So I interviewed two people who one has started a startup, one is in the process of it, but they both work on side businesses, and we discussed how they balanced their work, how they balanced their school tasks. And yeah, I think it was a really interesting, unique conversation.
All right. Very cool. Well, I'm excited to jump right in. Let's just get out of the way here and hand it right over to you to talk a little bit more about all of these startups, side hustles, side businesses, whatever you want to get at, and hand it right back over to you to get started. Thanks.
Hi, Cyprien. Thank you for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Just to get the ball rolling, Cyprien, would you mind introducing yourself and some things you are currently involved in or have been involved in the past?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Cyprien. Yeah, I'm a senior at USC. I'm studying computer science and business administration. Some things that I've been involved with at USC have been Lava Lab. I was in Theta Tau for a little bit, the engineering frat, and then on that, I'm really involved in kind of just creating projects, side projects. And then, the past 2 years I've been working on my startup. It's called Fleek, which I started with some people I met in Lava Lab.
Okay, awesome. So I guess first, coming into USC, did you have an idea that you were interested in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, definitely. So I think it kind of started for me in high school. I started off in design, actually. So product design, UI, UX stuff. My older brother taught me a little bit how to make mock-ups and how to redesign Snapchat, fun things like that. So that's where I got started. And I made an app with a friend of mine in high school just to increase involvement in our high school. So that was really cool. And that's where I first kind of got a taste of the impact that you can have with mobile apps, because over 3,000 people in our high school were using this app that we made, and it was just really increasing involvement and all things like that. So that's when I was like, look, when I get to college, I'll need to meet some people who also love creating stuff, who like making apps and stuff like that, digital products. And that's kind of how I started seeking out people who are also in this kind of creative digital space.
Okay, awesome. Sounds like you came into college with a pretty good sense of what you liked and pretty good amount of experience. Do you think that was like, did you meet a lot of people in college similar to yourself, or do you think a lot of people picked it up in college?
It's totally a mix, right? There's people who come into college with a really set idea. This is exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna learn how to code. I'm gonna become a software engineer, things like that. But then there's others who are completely in different fields, like some really awesome people I met in Lava Lab, for example. Some of them were studying neuroscience or biology, things like that, but they also wanted to, make a startup, or they wanted to look into the digital side of things. So I think one thing that's important in college is really not being too set, being really open-minded, but being able to just kind of be ready to see what you'll be into. And I think everyone's always surprised.
I guess before we get into the technical parts of your startup and that entire story, would you mind talking a little bit about Lava Lab and your involvement with that?
Absolutely. So Lava Lab is a student-run startup incubator at USC. So it's really great. Basically what it is you're put into groups. It's a club at USC, right? You're put into the groups of usually 4, right? So you've got 2 developers, 2 software engineers, and then 1 product manager who's kind of overseeing the whole project and kind of making sure everything's moving along that semester, and then 1 designer. And the idea is to basically make a product. Usually it's like a mobile app or something like that. And by the end of the semester, you pitch it in front of tech investors from around LA that kind of judge, and the public can come and your friends can come see kind of the product you've made. And so I think it's great because it gives you firsthand experience of really what it's like to just create a product. And then also what it's like to go through the whole process of ideating, making it, and then actually pitching it to people, right? Because eventually you need to sell it as well. And so I think it's something that really anybody in Viterbi especially should look into, because I think, if you're an engineer, you're usually creative, you want to make things, and it's a great place just to meet other people who like making stuff.
Yeah, I agree completely. Lava Lab has always seemed like one of the coolest clubs on campus. And yeah, I think it's really interesting how it incorporates a bunch of different disciplines. You have the software engineer and the designers. There are a lot of clubs that are just Viterbi, but I think Lava Lab is a really special one that goes across different functional groups.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm guessing the startup started at Lava Lab. So could you tell us a little bit more about what the process looked like to create Fleek?
Yeah, so I actually didn't start in Lava Lab, but I met my co-founder through Lava Lab. So he was on my team, and then afterwards we were like, look, let's make this idea. So it actually started, it started really baseline, right? Because I was seeing in my classes, girls were spending a lot of time looking through clothing websites, right? So, guys too sometimes, but most of the girls in class were, whether it was a physics class or something like that, they were spending time going through all these tabs, browsers, and I was thinking, why is this not really a behavior on mobile? Right? Like, why do people not shop that much on their mobile phone? Why do they go to computers all the time? And the reason I kind of came up with is because the mobile experience is so bad. There's tiny images, there's all these pop-ups. So that's where I started. It was just with this idea, and I talked to my co-founder. His name's Naman Kidia. He was also in Viterbi. He was studying computer science, and from there we decided, why not just make it, just why not get started, put together our skills that we have from design and software engineering, and just try and make it. So I think the first step really is just having an idea and then leaping in on it. It's not much else, you're not thinking really far ahead, you're just thinking, all right, let's just get started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So which year in school were you when you began the process of creating Fleek?
Yeah, I was a sophomore.
Okay. So you were a sophomore and you were creating this app. So I'm guessing that took up a considerable amount of time, or I'm interested to hear about it. So how did you balance school and starting the business?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a hustle, but I think a lot of people in Viterbi, they have their side projects and they have but they're balancing their courses. For me, it was really just time management in general, right? And blocking it off. So when you have a passion project, you need to make sure that you're blocking off times in your calendar to work on it, right? Because you need to at least do a little bit every week to stay in it. But also you need to balance homework and all that, right? So it's a lot. I think it really just boils down to how much are you interested in your side project, or if you're creating a startup, how much are you really willing to put into that? And then how much can you do feasibly, to still get relatively good grades and do all that stuff. So it's really about just blocking off the time, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like what you're saying boils down to being very intentional about what it is that you want to accomplish, and like being aware of how you're proportioning the time that you do have.
Exactly.
Yeah, super interesting. I would totally agree, even just with regular academics without a side business, just managing different things that I want to get done, whether that be seeing friends or like working out, taking time for myself.
Right. You know the struggle, the balance.
Yeah. This is a struggle, but we're making do with it.
That's right.
So as you're going through your computer science and business curriculum, how have the things that you've learned in school, how has that helped you with your business?
Yeah, so actually a lot, even more than I expect. Because the reason I did computer science and business was actually just because I wanted to kind of understand the cycle of creating digital products, actually making it and then pushing it out into the world. So I think, like, for example, in some of my Viterbi classes, just knowing the fundamentals of computer science were extremely important for me, even though I'm not thinking of necessarily being a software engineer, but it helps me understand the software engineers on my team, right? And helps me understand what we can do, what we can't do. So all that kind of knowledge, I think, really boils down to an overall sense of what you can do, right? In terms of a startup or in terms of anything, technical, whether, this computer science, but this could be the same thing on an EE side, for example, or biomedical engineering, if you're working on, like prosthetics, something like that, just really understanding it, even if you're not always doing. So I think that has been basically the main takeaway that I've had in Fleek in relation to my classes.
Yeah, so with your position in Fleek, did you take on more of a project manager role? Did you do some of the coding yourself? Did you do all of it? How was it proportioned?
Yeah. So I'm lucky because my team have got some really awesome software developers too. So I basically take on the design side, so everything that's product design, and then the business side too. So business development, partnerships, all that. And then here and there I'll code. When we need some things done, I can get in there a little bit. But our team is pretty split up well, because we each kind of have our own favorites. So there's one who loves machine learning and does all the machine learning aspect of Fleek. One that really loves doing animations on iOS. So that's his thing. So it's great because we all understand each other, but we each have our special thing that we like to work on.
Okay, awesome. And so you talked a little bit about your experience with the classes at Viterbi, but how have the overall resources at USC helped you?
Yeah, definitely. So I think first and foremost is just the people that you meet at USC, whether it's through clubs like Lava Lab or Troy Labs, things like that are engineering but startup focused. It's really the people that you meet that will introduce you to other people you need to talk to if you want something explained, or if you want to dive deeper in some industry. So I think it's more like, first and foremost, really just using students, whether they're in your classes or in clubs, to meet other people too, that can help you in whatever venture you're doing. So I think that would be great. And also through Viterbi, there's also just talking to your professors. There's some professors who, for example, in ITP, that are really specialized in, for example, iOS development, that if you're interested, you can always just email them and meet up with them and pick their brain a little bit and see what is the best way to do things, etc. Brief Center is also a great resource, especially for entrepreneurship. They'll really help you, guide your way, find mentors, find resources you need to really get going on your project. So that's a great resource at USC.
Awesome. Sounds like you've had a great experience leveraging all of the resources that USC has. And I mean, I'm sure both of us don't have an entire sense of just how many things USC is out there to help with startups. I know I've heard of a couple other ones starting out of USC, all in various stages. So it's super cool to see. So forward thinking. So since you're a senior this year, I'm sure you have future plans. So what do your future plans look like, and how does that look like with respect to your startup as well?
Right. This is this is top of
That
mind.
isn't too stressful.
No, this is top of mind, but yeah, it is true. So it's interesting because we're at a point here for Fleek where we're kind of transitioning between this is our passion project, our startup we started, to something we kind of want to work on full time. And my co-founders have already graduated. So my plan as of right now is I want to work on Fleek full time. We're going to be looking into funding, hopefully, and seeing how we can make that happen. But if not, I will probably be in the Bay working for a bigger company.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. And what is it about Fleek and a startup in general you think that is really attractive to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think the most attractive part of it is the personalization aspect. It's really cool to me that just based on what we see people swiping on, because we have this Tinder-like interface for clothes, or what we see them liking and everything, using all that data, we're using machine learning to actually know what their styles are, and start only showing them things that really might be more aligned with styles they want from their favorite brands. And what's crazy is that it's actually been working really well. There's like 3 times higher rate of liking things, because it's actually things we show you that you'll probably like, because it's from your favorite brands, and clothes that we see patterns with. So I think that's really cool because it saves people time, and it's a very convenient tool, I think.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So if you were to move and go work for Fleek full time, or even now as your partners are doing that, like looking forward, what is one thing that you think you need to do to further develop the startup or the app? Like what would the next step be?
Right. So we are just getting started on a social aspect. To be able to see what your friends are shopping for, maybe do some collaborative type shopping as well. So I think that's going to be really fun, because we're kind of going to bring together shopping and kind of community to make it a whole fun platform. So that's coming up next.
Okay, sounds super exciting. Well, I guess to wrap things up, one final question would be, what piece of advice would you give to USC students or prospective students who are also interested in entrepreneurship?
I think the first thing would be really to find other people who are also interested, because it all starts with a group of people, right? It's hard to do everything yourself, right? So finding other people who are interested in starting a company, or getting started on a project. Other than that, I would say also use the resources at USC. So join clubs such as maybe Lava Lab, Troy Labs, Spark. These are all things that really help you meet people in that same mindset that want to build and create. And then other than that, just make projects on your own. If you want to get started on something, learn about it and just dabble in it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today, Cyprien. If we all wanted to download the app, it's called Fleek Fashion.
Yep, just Fleek. Yeah, look it up on the App Store.
Fleek on the App Store. Oh, fantastic. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, Maya. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me today, Talha.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
All right. For all of you that don't know, my name is Maya, and I'm here today with my friend Talha to talk to you about startups and side businesses within Viterbi. So, yeah, Talha, we'll get right into it. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and some things you're involved in.
Yeah, my name is Talha Rafiq. I'm a sophomore computer science student here at Viterbi. And I've always thought it's really important to have side projects or side businesses going on with your main studies. It's kind of a good way to like experiment, find out what you really enjoy, and kind of just see where you want to take your life with. So personally, I have three main side projects. The first is a photography business. I really just run that independently, pick up gigs when I can, and I shoot for the Daily Trojan for that as well. And that's kind of something I started in sophomore year of high school and kind of just worked up until now. And then about a year ago, I got involved with something called We Love the Hate. It is a clothing brand run by two of my partners. Kyle Ford is a football player on the USC team, and another friend, Andrew, who's a business major at Chapman. And essentially, I came onto this team and have been helping them grow the brand and own a percentage of the brand as well. And all I help them with is the aspect of the website, which is all computer science related. And then I also do all the photography sessions and marketing for the company as well. And everything is handled between us three. And now, most recently, I've started working on a new app, which I can talk about more in depth later. But essentially, it is a way to set up pickup games for sports on college campuses, and it's only limited to college students. So that way, we can kind of have a community, a safe community that brings together people in real life, but it really is just another kind of social media app. So those are the three projects I got going on. I'll probably end up talking about them later on, so I'm not going to go too in depth. But yeah, that's kind of what I have going on right now, and that's who I am.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I'm sure I don't know a lot more than the people who will be listening to this podcast. So I am equally excited to hear more about all of the different projects. I guess first, starting from the kind of the origins, what do you think sparked your interest in entrepreneurship? Has it always been something you were interested in?
Yeah, I feel like there's a certain kind of mindset when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's the one thing that we don't really know how to teach because there is no teaching it. It's literally just go out there, figure it out, and do all the aspects of the job that you need to get something done. Like there is no blueprint. And jumping into like this idea of entrepreneurship kind of started with photography. So I think that's a good like thing to talk about because it kind of gives people a guideline on how to get started in entrepreneurship. So starting your own business or doing anything on your own, you always have to do something that provides value. And I feel like photography specifically is something I picked up, was able to shoot other people, but turning that into a business is a different story. Like marketing yourself in a way that that's something you do as a commercial thing is something that builds up over time. And the thing that kind of sparked my interest was kind of getting sick of school. Like I didn't really like school that much. I was like, how can I like break myself out of this? And even during school activities, you're doing something that the school mandates. So my way of doing that was taking my camera and building a business around it and doing various things. I was in the shoe customizing for a while, so that was running as a business. But just doing various things, and I kind of jumped into it simply because when in the end, when we're out there in the real world, everything comes back to business. Like you can be an engineer, you can be a lawyer, but if you truly want to do something completely in your own accord, you have to start your own business. There's no other way to go about it.
Yeah, no, super cool. I know myself, I've been very interested in photography, and entrepreneurship, I think, is a great way to own things that you're passionate about and study things that aren't necessarily within your major. It was super interesting. You said you weren't interested, like you were sometimes bored with traditional school. What do you mean by that statement? Just like test taking, sitting in a class?
Yeah, and it kind of sounds like contradictory or ironic in a way that I'm saying that because I am a CS major, probably the most school like thing you could do. But I genuinely do not like the concept of sitting in a class, being taught something, how to like memorize it. I do think with CS it's a bit different because I'm learning a tool and that's the way I view it. I'm not really there for the school. And I do think college is a bit different than high school because in college you also have access to networks and that's the real benefit of it. Like education is about the same as many other colleges, but the reason we all want to come to USC or schools like USC is because of the networks. So I genuinely just got tired of sitting in this classroom being told, hey, memorize this, take the test on this, and figure like that's how I'm going to get an A. And I didn't really know what it was equating to because that A wasn't paying me $200 a gig. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life, and it's something in business, whether it's like artistic or tech related, I don't mind. But I think a lot of students go through this, and the thing I have to say is stay in school because genuinely I think school is valuable. and stay in it because it is a way to learn tools. Pick something that you know you can employ in your life and that you will employ, and then go ahead and like commit yourself to it, because that's where school is useful. I know it's kind of like strenuous at times, like annoying, but I do think it's important. I just don't think it's what you should get attached to, because it's only been your life for a couple of years, a couple more years for us now, and then it's done.
I think yeah, I agree with you. I think it's very important foundationally, but school is important, but it isn't everything. And yeah, it takes going above and beyond school. And I think USC in particular at Viterbi is a very interesting place to be with the interest that you're talking about. I think a lot of things are very hands-on, and like we have these opportunities to do things like with the startup garage or using the Baum family makerspace. And there are a lot of resources out there to explore things like that. I guess this segues into the next point. So how do you think your time at Viterbi, USC as a whole, has helped you establish your business and explore your interest in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I mean, it helps that my business partners are USC based. And honestly, specifically with my clothing brand, a lot of the athletes that are sponsored by our brand or people we work with are USC based, and as well as LA based. So that is just a really, particular thing specifically about what I'm doing. I feel like that's not much use for most people, but something that USC does do, which has helped me establish and nurture my business and my interest in entrepreneurship. Let's talk about my business first. There are a ton of workshops that people don't know about. It's those emails you get in your emails, like, oh, there's this front end workshop happening, sign up. And everyone just kind of clicks off because there's a million of them, right? There's a lot. But I highly suggest, if there's something you want to learn, and like we're often going to like websites like Khan Academy or like Brilliant or like some website to teach us that, these workshops are literally that in person with a professional. So I think USC offers a lot of those type of events. I'm going to one on Tuesday for front end design on Bootstrap. So there's a lot of these events. Sign up for them, go to them. You will learn the ins and outs for the basics, and that's all you need. And literally build your project from there. Then go ask someone for help, but it gives you a starting point. So USC really, like, I don't know if it's Viterbi, those are Viterbi oriented events, but I'm betting there's events like that for every major. So that's one thing that USC does really well. And then interest in entrepreneurship, everyone will tell you join the clubs, entrepreneurship clubs, business clubs, like there's various of them. I'm not even gonna name them by name because there's too many, but that is not the only way. Trust me when I say this, I personally would say it. Those clubs are good. They're great for nurturing that environment, but you can do it without it. I personally have not joined any of those clubs. I've been rejected by a lot of those clubs. Don't let that like make you worry. Those are basically providing a community for people, but those exact kids are still in your community. So go ahead, do whatever you like, because the other aspects of USC, from the culture to the ability to ask help from certain people, is still there. It hasn't disappeared. So I think I would say clubs are a good avenue. Those workshops, the free resources, are a great avenue. And as well as older students. USC has this culture of like collaboration. And the good news about that is a bunch of older students I've talked to are always like, yeah, let me know if you need any help. I will help you out. I stopped a guy here a couple of days ago. I know he was in like scope and like that stuff. He knew the coding language, JavaScript and a couple other Ruby on Rails. And I stopped him and asked him for his phone number. And I was just like, I need some help for this project. And he was like, yeah, give me a call. And I'm going to text him and call him. So I feel like USC's collaboration, clubs, and kind of free workshops, free resources are probably the best things offered on campus. And it's a very open environment to do whatever you like.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. The culture of USC is collaborative, helpful, and then also you're connected with these people who've been, like by any means, any definition, successful in their field, and they've pursued their interests. And a lot of people are very, very eager to help you with your own. So with the 3 startups that you have and the side businesses, and that on top of a computer science degree, I know that can get pretty busy. So how do you balance the engineering curriculum and your classes with your other passions, your commitments, like your side businesses and your photography?
Yeah, so there's a saying, it probably, almost everyone knows it. It's like in college, you can only have 2 or 3 things. Have school, a social life, or sleep, right? So you kind of have to sacrifice one of those. I personally have taken a step back and then here's the thing I didn't mention was a business and side businesses are a 4th thing. So now you have 4 things, right? So you have to balance all 4. Anyone listening to this, sleep is your priority. Get 8 hours, like a night, like get 8 hours. It'll make your life in college a lot more enjoyable, a lot more happy. But Personally, I have a really rigorous schedule. So I'll wake up in the morning at 5 a.m. and that's when my day starts. I personally am Muslim, so I pray in the morning, and that is a good way to get me out of bed. And then after that, I do a workout, so I still maintain my health, and then I get started with my day. Specifically with my three businesses, I've kind of taken a step back with photography. I personally did that personally because I am in a major where I want to invest more time, and photography will always be around. It's more of a hobby. And so I've transformed that business I had in high school more into an avenue and a tool I use within my other businesses. So I still shoot for my clothing company, but it's on the, it's for certain cases. It's not, I carry my camera everywhere. Um, the beautiful thing about We Love the Hate, which is a clothing brand, which if anyone wants to jump into clothing brands, like let me know, I can help you get started. The beautiful thing about clothing brands, a lot of it is hands off, especially if you don't exactly want to create your own merch line from scratch. That is something we do, and that's why I have two partners helping me out. So I do think that having two partners, especially one who manages all the clothes physically, like their movement, getting them in, creating them, and then sending them out, that takes a lot of time off my plate. And this new startup is something I've been kind of dedicating maybe like 2-3 hours to a week. It's still small. I'm actually focusing on marketing more. So I'll go play I'll go play pickup games with people on college campuses. Like I'll go up to random folks and start playing with them. And at the end of the game, bring up the startup idea. And a lot of them will love it because they were playing sports right there and then for that reason. So I personally have this balance because I block out my time and day. I will block out exact hours of what to do, and then I will tell myself what to do during each of those hours. And it's just all about like time management. I know that's like a blanket statement because everyone says that in college, but it is literally just, hey, knock out 4 or 5 hours on your calendar for it. And when those hours go by, don't procrastinate. Like, don't be like, I'll do it in a little bit, 15 minutes, 10 minutes later. Do it when you schedule it for yourself. So every night, plan out your next day and just take it day by day, one day at a time. And you'll realize it compounds pretty quickly. Like you'll see a flash by and it'll be insane. But I do think it's a challenging thing. Like CS courses are not easy. I'm having a really rough time in some of them too. But just gotta keep going. You can't like drop your head.
Yeah, I agree. It's profoundly important to be intentional with how you're using your time in college. And if you are being intentional, you can include everything you want to. But it really is important to be aware of like where your time is going if you're spending time like on your phone or procrastinating. So I think scheduling out your days for me is something I really rely on because then I know where every single hour is going and I make sure I hit all the tasks I need to.
Yeah, totally agree. And also, like, if you check your phone and you see how many hours a day you spend on your phone, if during school days that is, if it's above 2 hours, and especially if it's social media oriented, or if it's oriented towards something that's not your work, and if it's above 2 hours, you might want to look at that because I do think that our phones draw a lot of attention and time away from us, and that's something I realize about myself that helps me manage my time. I don't spend over 45 minutes on social media a day, so other than running the business. So unless you're using a business that requires social media, I would look into that too. That helps a lot of students when I like talk to them about it and they don't realize how dependent they are on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like you're doing a great job of prioritizing the different things you want to do and making sure that you get done things that are priorities and like re-looking at your schedule and making sure that you're saving enough time to hit all of them. All right. So you mentioned a little bit of your startup, and I personally was very interested when you were telling me about this. So would you mind talking a little more about the pickup app that you're creating and maybe where you'd like to see it go in the future?
I essentially saw a problem on campus with pickup sports. I was involved in literally every sport. My high school lifestyle, my career in high school was just sports. All I did was play sports. I genuinely don't know how I ended up in CS, but here I am now. So I played every single sport. So when I got to college, like campus, I met a couple of friends. We started playing sports, but they never wanted to play another sport. And then I started jumping into different groups. And what I realized was a lot of these people want to play with more people. A lot of these people want to go and set up games. It's just that it's very hard to, and you have to find yourself in social friend circles, and then that's who you're limited to. So what is the way that we can create these pickup sports in a way, because intramural sports take time. You still have to block out time for them, 4 or 5 hours, like commitment, now and then on a weekend. It's a time game. Pickup sports are literally, hey, you want to go play? And let's go play. So I kind of had this idea of developing an app, and this has actually been attempted before. So I looked at the market and what's been out there. Most of them fail. The big two reasons they fail is because either the app's UI UX and like functionality is terrible, or the second thing is it was targeted for majority of people. But genuinely, those are the two big reasons. The UI UX is usually the issue. So my target is just college students, starting with USC's campus and then moving on to other campuses. But essentially you'll be able to set up a pickup game, give its details, time, place, what sport, and anyone will be able to RSVP to it, and you'll be able to add friends on the app, so you can create games that only your friends can see, and you can create games that everyone can see. And it's a good way to meet other people, because as an extrovert, I can walk up to random groups of people playing sports and say, hey, can I play? But I know that's not for everyone, and not everyone can bring themselves to do that. So this app is a way to create those kind of sports. And then hopefully I start a club on campus. For now, I'm calling this app Game Day, and it'll probably end up being called Game Day. But I'm going to hopefully create a club on campus for game day. So we'll throw our own game day sports pickup game events, and people who are winning those games will get cash prizes. So that's kind of a way I'm going to hopefully integrate on college campus. And that's kind of where I'm at right now without getting too much into detail. But yeah, so in the future, I hope to, in the next year, have it fully developed and made and working. And hopefully by next semester, have it as like an established thing on campus with a club behind it. And I'll probably be drawing most of my time away from that. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure where it's going to go, but it's one of the ideas I believe that I've had that can actually go somewhere. So, and if anyone out there thinks they can help with an app like this, feel free to reach out to me. I'm sure Milo will put some kind of information somewhere, but whether you're a UI designer, you're a designer, backend engineer, whatever you are, I'm always looking for people to collaborate and work with. So
Yes, I can definitely try and plug these things. And also, I think like not only you, but so many different students at USC, like if there's something you're passionate about, and if you're super into coding and you want to get more hands-on experience with that, there are so many people in need of designers, and they want partners or collaborators. So I think there are a lot of really exciting opportunities with respect to that. Would you say that your own computer science curriculum in the classes, do you think that's helped you in the thought process behind creating your app or the actual process?
I've got to say no right now, as much as I hate to say that. I think the early couple of freshman, sophomore year classes for CS are meant to show you like the back end, how things are working at a fundamental level. But I feel like the very next class I'm taking, maybe next semester or the semester after that, is going to be 201. I believe it's 201, but that is a app development class. You build an app in it. So there are definitely a lot of classes that will help you do that, but you kind of have to go to the hoops beforehand, which is why anyone listening to this, like, you don't have to feel pressured. Like, it sounds a lot cooler than it is. I promise you, these things sound a lot cooler than it is. But people are, you're going to learn in school at a different pace, and you might be just struck by an idea when you learn something to come up with a business, if that's what you're into. So personally, I don't think USC has offered in class-wise, but they have offered me a lot of benefits in those workshops in that form, because workshops go more into the broader scale of things. But the CS classes are meant to like teach you the fundamental stuff, like how exactly does a computer know that what 1+1 is. So yeah, it will eventually. There are definitely a lot of courses that I want to take, electives, as well as main courses, like app development course, the 201 class is mandatory. So it'll happen down the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it really caters to different people, and everyone gets that same broad understanding, and people are at different points. And the computer science curriculum really recognizes that, because there are some people who come into college as a CS major and they've never coded before. And I think that's totally okay. And it's a lot more common than people would expect. But also, if people have been coding for 5 years, USC will also recognize that, and they'll place it in different classes.
It's meant to show you like the basics and like everyone's on the same page, and then you can pick the way. Not everyone's going to go into app development or web development. This is a niche thing. Like there's other areas of computer science and engineering as a whole, like plenty of other areas. Like I guarantee you SpaceX isn't worried about, they're investing the least amount of money into their web design and app development. They're more focused on the actual products, which are space shuttles. So I don't think it has much of what I'm doing there, but there are various options that you will jump into, and USC does a pretty good job of setting everyone on the same page and then moving forward.
Okay, so wrapping up, so what is a final piece of advice you would give to USC students or prospective students who are interested in entrepreneurship?
Get started. Stop like staying scared. I promise you, like I have the same feelings, and it's okay to have a small business. Like it's okay if you're not raking in thousands of dollars. Like that is totally fine. I promise you, you will hear a lot of people. The funniest thing I noticed was before I got started, everyone was hyping me up saying, go for it. While I was doing it, people were saying it's a waste of time, step back. But what happened, that's counterintuitive. When you're talking about your idea and people are supporting you, it sounds amazing. So you obviously want to start, but as soon as you start, when you hear a little bit of negative feedback, you're going to be very receptive to it, because obviously now you want it to go well. But it's okay if it's not going well. It's okay if it's not working out the way it is. Commit yourself to it and stick with it. It will take time. But the hardest thing is just to get started and then staying committed to it. So whether you want to start a business, whether you want to market yourself in certain ways as a web developer, or anything where you are the business or where you have created a product that is the business and you're the person behind it, just get started. Don't let your fear like run you out of it. And also when you do get started, put some blinders on and just focus on it. It's okay about all the white noise around you, whether they tell you to stop or keep going, to be focused on it yourself and commit yourself. So getting started and committing, that's the two things I've got to say. It's just straight out of my mind because that's what I realized. I've tried businesses like the photography business. When I started, it took like a year and a half to get that established. But when I did the clothing company, that was a lot faster. And now I have this new startup, which is picking up pace. The more you do it, the better you get at it. It's okay if you're still in college or in high school or whatever stage you're at, or even if you're out of college, like it's okay to start at any point in time. Just when you do, just commit yourself to it and don't let fear run it.
I love that. Just get started, commit, and don't be afraid. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Talha. I really appreciate you taking the time and giving the advice, telling us about your businesses.
Thank you for inviting me. That was very fun. And I hope it helps someone.
Yes, I'm positive it will.
So what you said you're interested in startups. I was wondering like what sparked this interest and like, do you know like in which direction you wanted to go with it?
Yeah, the two guests that I had on the podcast actually inspired this choice of topic for me. I was speaking with both of them earlier this semester and I realized they were doing some really awesome things within Viterbi. They were things that I personally was really wanting to hear more about. I think startups are interesting because it's taking ownership of your learning and your passions. So I thought that everyone else would like to hear more about what they were doing as well.
Yeah, I think you were both having a conversation before we started recording. Golden rule: wait for the recording to have these conversations. But I think Emily, you know one of these students. Which one did you know?
Yeah, I realized as I was like listening to the episode that I know Cyprien. He went to my high school.
It's very cool. And did you know about this little side thing that he does?
No, I didn't really. My high school was really big, so there were like 1,000 people in each graduating class. So I didn't really know Cyprien personally, but it's cool to see like how people are so connected at USC, and like I don't know, it's super cool to see him. Like his startup seems super cool. It's Fleek. It's like a fashion clothing app to help people find like better things that they're interested in. It sounds super cool, and I can't believe that like I don't know. I feel like a lot of pride for my high school when I hear him talk about it.
Always good to hear. Now, Maya, are you going to be making one of these startups or side businesses anytime soon? Is this inspiring you to do something cool?
It's totally inspiring me. Yeah, I'm going through looking at like thinking of all the things that I'm interested in and things that could be startups. So hopefully in the future, you might hear me on a podcast like this talking about my startup.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Thanks for bringing the episode to us. And for all of you out there, we'll see you next time on another episode of Viterbi Voices.